overwhelming that in fact Mr. Smollett had faked a hate crime and then lied to the police about it and then compounded his crimes by lying to the jury during the course of this trial and insulting their intelligence. That's what I told the jury in my closing argument. With the resounding verdict we just received from this jury after one day of deliberations in which they found Mr. Smollett guilty of virtually all charges of doing exactly what we said he did, of reporting a fake crime to the Chicago Police Department as a real crime. That verdict was a resounding message by the jury that in fact Mr. Smollett did exactly what we said he did. And what I think is important about this verdict is that a lot of you from Chicago know that it was a couple years ago when the court system came to me and wanted me to become special prosecutor because there was a feeling that things that had happened in the past, that there never was a public trial, and that this controversial events that occurred regarding Mr. Smollett and what he did to this city and what he did to the Chicago Police Department never had a chance to put it in front of a jury and let a jury decide, after hearing all the evidence, whether what Mr. Smollett was right or wrong, because it's very controversial. I agreed to do that because I felt it was also important for the Cook County judicial system to get a trial. Whether we won or lost the trial was not the issue. What was the issue is that what Mr. Smollett had done in this city should be aired in front of a public trial where all the evidence that comes out, all the talk on social media may or may not be true, but the true facts, I thought, needed to come out, and we did it. And we became special prosecutors, and the rest is history. We've now won this case, and I want to point out that there's an enormous effort was put in when I agreed to take the special prosecutor role. That meant that my law firm became special prosecutors, and the men and women around me right now in the last 2.5 years have worked so hard to develop the evidence, present it to a grand jury, go through a pandemic, wait to get a trial, which we wanted, and finally in the last 10 days, these lawyers have had a chance to present this evidence to a jury, and we've come away with the jury agreeing that they should have heard the case, and in fact he was guilty. Thank you very much. Questions?
Can you just confirm for everyone what that sixth charge that he was found not guilty of?
Yeah, the sixth count, well, I'm not going to speculate on why a jury did that, but that sixth count was an event that occurred 2 weeks after the event. So the other false statements were made to the police right on the day of January 29th on 3 different interviews, and that counted for 5 of the 6 counts, which he was found not guilty in every one of those. The 6th count was 2 weeks later, on February 13th, at a police station, and it may be because it was after the event. I don't know what the reason was. It wasn't that significant to our case, and has no impact on the case whatsoever. Yeah. It was, yeah, so the answer is yes, you're right. It was the aggravated battery, which means that there has to be a mask, and we charged that because the police officer testified that that's when Smollett told the police officer he was a mask. But whatever the reasons are, this jury, by the way, this jury worked so hard, and for Mr. Smollett to get up in front of them and lie for hours and hours and hours, that really compounded his misconduct. And quite frankly, when I saw that happen in the courtroom, at least for me, as a trial lawyer that spent my life in the courtroom, we don't expect defendants to do that. Defendants have a right to go to trial. Defendants have a right to argue that their case has not been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. But defendants do not have the right to go in front of a jury and lie under oath. Mr. Smollett would not have lost this case, as he did today, unless the jury found that he lied to them. And so that was something that I was very proud that this jury came to the conclusion that he's guilty, and the fact that he came up with a completely ridiculous story to explain his misconduct did not apparently have an impact on the jury's verdict.
How does the perjury charge be handled at this point?
Pardon me, I'm sorry?
How do you handle that? That is perjury. How do you handle that at this point?
Well, first of all, I don't know the answer to that question. I will say that over the years, if someone is convicted in a court of law by a jury Normally, follow-up perjury charges do not normally occur. That's just the way it is. But I'm not going to predict what's going to happen here. We just got the verdict 30 minutes ago, and let's see what happens.
Dan, in all honesty, any disappointment in not getting all 6?
No. I mean, I don't. I mean, look, the fact that you put in 6 counts or 16 counts, when someone is found guilty of 5 out of 6 counts, it has no impact on our case whatsoever and is insignificant.
Why did you push for vindication for the Chicago Police Department?
So I would like to, that's a good question. Thank you for asking the question. You heard me in my closing argument. I talked to them about what I said into my closing argument is that for Mr. Smollett in this city, with this police department, to have reported this crime on January 29th, you saw what this city did. A lot of times people say, well, police officers sweep things under the rug. This police department responded by absolutely testifying in this trial that they took it seriously, they believed it was the victim of a crime, and they worked so hard for the next 3 weeks. You saw 26 Chicago police officers spent 3,000 hours of time costing the city well over $100,000 for a fake crime that never occurred, and by the way, a fake crime that denigrates what a real hate crime is. And to use these meanings and symbols that are so abhorrent in our society, it's clear why the police would take it seriously. And they did. When Detective Thiesch described, he was working 36 hours with no sleep, and so were other police officers, because they had to trudge through these communities and get doorbells that had these cameras on it, and the work they did was extraordinary. So I have told the jury that what happened here was so wrong for the Chicago Police Department. And by the way, maybe the Chicago Police Department is not perfect, but I'll tell you this. What they did on this case was extraordinary police work, and the fact that this jury convicted him on virtually all counts was based on testimony from Chicago police officers and the 2 Osendero brothers, and I believe it's a complete vindication of everything the Chicago Police Department did to thoroughly and conscientiously investigate this case.
How much did your work cost the county?
0. Thank you for asking.
No additional cost?
None. So when we took this case, the county pays a standard amount of money each day or each hour. You get paid on the hour. Special prosecutors are paid. When I told Judge Tooman I would do it, I talked to my law firm, and we made the decision, if you're going to do this, then just do it for the public. I was asked for my firm to try to help restore the lack of confidence in the criminal justice system, because what happened here. That's why Judge Tooman reached out to us, and I told him, we're going to do it. After we made the decision to do it, I told Judge Tooman we're going to do it, and we're not going to charge anything. So there's been, well, there might be out-of-pocket expenses of a few dollars. The answer is we did it for nothing. We did it pro bono, and we did it because we thought it was the right thing to do. And
Mr. Webb, what does this verdict say about State's Attorney Kim Foxx's decision, or her office's decision, to drop the charges now that you have this guilty verdict on 506?
Well, the events, I was appointed a special prosecutor because Judge Tooman believed that the circumstances under which the Smollett case was dismissed without a trial was not supported by the evidence. That's why I agreed to take on the case. When I agreed to take on the case, I agreed to evaluate the evidence to decide whether he should be reindicted. It took me 4 months of work, but I decided 4 months later that I thought the evidence was overwhelming, that he had committed serious crimes, and I reindicted him. But then I had to go to trial and prove it. And my position is I wanted a public trial and let a jury decide. Now that they've decided that Smollett should have been convicted, I believe that we in the Special Prosecutor's Office made the right decision to reindict him. We made the right decision to take it to trial, and we got a verdict that is obviously a resounding success for us.
Well, was an indictment on her office, though?
I'm not going to make comments about that. What happened speaks for itself. Any other questions?
What kind of sentence should he get?
What? I can't hear you.
What kind of sentence should he get?
Well, that sentence is an issue. He just got convicted 30, 40 minutes ago, so let's wait and see. We happen to have in this case, one thing that I am proud of is that this court says, we're strangers over here at 26th Street, okay? And we came over here, and the court system has done an extraordinary job. they assigned Judge Lynn, who I didn't even know Judge Lynn before this trial, who did an extraordinary job during this trial. This trial got heated. If you all had been back in chambers for a lot of the arguments we had back and forth with each other, this was a difficult trial for any trial judge. Judge Lynn did an extraordinary job, and quite frankly, the fact that the court system kind of opened its doors to us as special prosecutor, didn't look at us as outsiders, but kind of opened the doors and said, come on over, try your case, you're going to get a fair trial, and we did. And Judge Lynn did an extraordinary job, and quite frankly, he's one of the finer judges I've had the chance to practice in front of. And,
Is there any evidence in particular that you think stuck with this jury?
Well, there's two things that I think stuck with the jury. Number one, I think my basic argument that it is ridiculous to think that Smollett left his apartment on the night of January 29th at 2 o'clock in the morning to go buy eggs, and that's his explanation for why he ended up right at that intersection, right at 2 o'clock in the morning, that the brother said is where he told them the attack should take place. So the fact that it actually happened that way, I think, was pretty profound. I also think that sometimes it's simple things. He actually rigged that rope. After that rope got put on him, I showed the picture to the jury. Pictures don't lie. Those pictures showed that he actually, after he went through this fake attack, wanted to make it look better, and he jimmied with the rope to make the noose look closer to his throat and rustled it around, because the rope you saw in the courtroom was nice and neat around his neck, because Ola Ossendero didn't have time to do much with it because a car came. And so he ran away. He left the rope next to his face. Smollett got up, put it around his neck, and then when it didn't look bad enough, he changed it, and I think that impacted the jury. That's what I think.
Mr. Webb, you said that it was unexpected for him to get up on the stand and to lie and lie and lie like that. You spent your lifetime in a courtroom. What do you think was behind that?
I'm not going to speak. I mean, well, let me say this. First of all, Mr. Smollett has a right to present any defense he wants. I just told you that I don't think that lying under oath is acceptable for a defendant. Defendants have a right to defend themselves on the grounds that they haven't been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And they have a right to do that. I don't think they have a right to go on the stand and lie under oath. And so it happened, and I think this will probably be a point that I'll make at sentencing, that not only did Mr. Smollett lie to the police and wreak havoc here in this city for weeks on end for no reason whatsoever, but then he compounded the problem by lying under oath to a jury, which I think should not take place, and I don't expect that to happen in court of law. I just don't.
If he doesn't show any sympathy, remorse, let alone an apology, should that affect the sentencing?
No, that's up to the judge to decide. The judge is the one that gets to decide sentencing, and we'll let the judge decide sentencing issues. Anyway,
some big cases. Where does this Class 4 felony case fit?
I'm sorry, go ahead, finish your question.
You've had some big cases in your career. Where does this Class 4 felony fit in the grand picture?
Well, I've had a lot of big cases, and this is a big case. By the way, I took this case because I actually thought if it was true that he lied to the Chicago Police Department about something like a hate crime, when we've got all these social issues in our country, we're trying to make sure that we do the right thing when these kind of bad things have happened, for him to fake a hate crime, fake it, and then cause the police department to spend enormous efforts taking him off of homicide cases and putting him on this case. I thought that was bad conduct. I mean, it was not insignificant. I thought it was serious criminal misconduct that needed to be approached and have a public trial about it. Now that he's compounded his wrongdoing by lying to a jury, which they've obviously determined from the verdict today, he's compounded his misconduct in this city, and we'll let the judge decide what to do.
Should he reimburse the police department?
Well, that's an issue for sentencing. There's an issue that's always at sentencing about restitution. That'll be a decision that Judge Lynn will get to make. You all have a nice day. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Special Prosecutor there, Dan.